Colonel S.S. Sodhi, foreign affairs expert, joins us on the program. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, defense expert, also with us to talk more about this. Colonel Sodhi, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, the sanctions have been crippling on Russia, and the kind of, insanity that has been poured over Russia because of the Ukraine war is not going to stop Putin on his tracks. In fact, all of these things are only going to instigate his will to perhaps conquer Ukraine and beyond further.
Jahan Vineet, it's an honor to be on NewsX once again. Well, the sanctions on Russia, which are increasing with each passing day, are making Putin more determined to put up the fight longer, but yet at the same time, it is now putting him under immense pressure also. Now this war has now entered the 28th day today, and even Russia did not think that this war would last so long. We need every country or every person has limited money in life. Same as with Russia, who's one of the most powerful countries. It's a superpower. When the war started on 24th February last month, they had a forex of $630 billion. Their daily expenditure on the war in Ukraine is $20 billion. This means their financial reserves are fast depleting. And now the war is reaching such a phase where Putin will have to take a drastic decision or a drastic step to end the war suddenly. And this can be either the use of the chemical weapons or the nuclear weapons. It is akin to what we saw in the World War II, when America realized that Japan is now getting very aggressive. They lobbed 2 atom bombs on the 6th and 9th of August 1945. As a result, 6 days later, on 15th August 1945, Japan surrendered. And on 2nd September 1945, the World War II came to an end. We are now exactly inching towards that situation because neither Putin wants to get back and neither America wants Ukraine to end the war. It suits American interest to the hilt. There are 2 reasons to it. One, of course, is that the longer war carries on, Russia gets affected economically. And USA is seeing its dream of being the lone superpower in this world as this war carries on longer. And second, of course, is the arms lobby is a very powerful lobby in this world. Out of the 195 countries in this world, USA supplies arms to 167 countries. Out of the top 10 arms manufacturers, 6 are located in USA. So it is a win-win situation for America the longer this war lasts. One, Russia gets battered economically, and second, of course, it is on now a weapon selling spree with Germany announcing it is going to purchase 35 fighter aircraft from USA. It is now Denmark, and all have stepped up their defense budgets. So it is a win-win situation for USA as longer this war progresses.
All right, Major Mohammed Ali Shah also with us on the program. Ali, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Vineet, loud and clear.
Well, the reason why Putin was driven to attack Ukraine was because he felt humiliated. And, one would think that as a result of this attack, the West and the Americans would perhaps ponder and introspect that, more humiliation is perhaps going to do the opposite of what Vladimir Putin is supposed to do. But they don't learn. They don't seem to be really concerned which way he's going to go, which country he could attack tomorrow. They just want to persecute him and punish him. Is that a good idea, Ali, at this point in time? Because the Russian and their attack on the Americans is growing. And now usually these attacks in the past in history have been followed up by real tensions and escalations.
Oh, Vineet, it's not a good idea at all, instead of rebuking or just talking, which the whole world knows. And in fact, US also tried to, yesterday, they tried to snub India by making India get provoked and jump into it to talk against Russia. But why should India step into it? Why should India? Again, how will that help? US has been imposing.
Well, they've also called us shaky. They called our resolve to be neutral. They called our foreign policy shaky.
Absolutely. How will that help? It will not help at all. So when US is trying to, in fact, if you have to ask me, when they call our foreign policy shaky, they call our resolve shaky, we have been a peace brokers. We have come forward and spoken peace. And if they want us to talk against Russia, how will that help? Will the war end? Will President Vladimir Putin stop attacking Ukraine just because India is talking, saying that what Russia is doing is unfair? It's like stating the obvious. Everyone knows. For humanity's sake, it is wrong and it should not be there. Now in 2016, India and US, they had signed the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, and India declared a major defense partner of the United States. So, and it's already a partner with Quad, with US for that matter. So now, when they want India to talk against Russia, it will not help at all. And India has taken the right stand of not getting provoked by it. In fact, according to the Kelly and Laycock's book, the United States has invaded and fought in 84 countries out of 193 countries which are recognized by the UN. And they have had military actions in 191 countries out of the 193 countries, which is a sliggering 98%. So that's what America has been doing. They have taken military actions and they have destroyed countries like Libya, like Iraq, Afghanistan. They tried that with Vietnam. They tried that with North Korea, with Cuba, with so many countries all over. They have destroyed. I would blame America that they have destroyed Ukraine. Ukraine was no reason for making two blood brothers fight, but Ukraine also indirectly, proxy way, they have done that. There are only 3 countries in the whole world which are left virgin from US interference. Only 3 countries in the entire world, and these countries are our dear friend Bhutan, of course, Andorra and Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein, which is on the border of Switzerland and Austria. It is highly dependent on Switzerland for its economy. These are the only 3 countries who are safe so far. And of course, US has been talking that, okay, let's have a UN vote. China didn't vote against Russia. India did not. UAE did not. They had their own reasons. But then, how will that help? You think voting against Russia will help? Whatever US is doing, they are rather adding fuel to the fire by providing more weapons to Ukraine. Instead of talking peace, instead of trying to get them talk together and coming on the table, Israel tried that. Yes, Israel did try that. Israel is very dear friend with Russia. In fact, Russians and Israelis, they do not need that visa passport formality to go across each other. So India has been doing the correct thing, but US, again, and as you rightly said, is it the correct thing for US to do? No, more certainly. Today, US took a U-turn. Today, US indirectly, they clarified that India is doing a very good job. India is a Quad partner, India, and yesterday snapped us. So it is, I really do not really, and they want us to speak against a very reliable friend when they are not even reliable, I would say, again, a very reliable dear friend, when they're not even reliable, okay type friends. America will turn its way around. Today, President Zelensky has asked the Western power MPs to prove it on ground that they are with them. Till now, he's been receiving standing ovations in the Congress, Parliament, and in the US and such things. But only just because he's an artist and actor, it's not enough to just clap. It's very important to come on ground and show your solitude and show your solidarity and show your support to them. And in the past, if I have to quote an example, what US has done, they've sent NATO troops also, but the kind of numbers they've sent in the past I'm talking about, are those numbers enough to fight a war? They are not. They definitely are not. Here, 2 countries are getting destroyed. Russia, and as Colonel Sodhi rightly brought out, Russia ultimately was going to be will be depending on loans. They are already flat broke. And President Putin has said, only when their existence is threatened, he will go nuclear then. And yes, Russia's existence is threatened today. And so is the Ukrainians. And who is watching the fun at the end of the day? US and China. They are the 2 nations who are going to be benefiting from it big time. India, on the other hand, look at the foreign policy of India. India is a member of the Quad. Even Pakistani Prime Minister has applauded us. India at the same time dares to go ahead and buy discounted oil from Russia. No other country would dare to do that. India was under threat. India went ahead with the S-400 deal with Russia, where there was a sanction on Turkey, and US had hinted that if India goes ahead with S-400, they would impose sanctions by using countering the American Adversaries Act. But yet, there were no sanctions on India. Today, America needs India more than India needs US. When America had imposed sanctions on us for exporting the raw materials for the COVID-19 vaccinations, yes, there was a sanction, we honored that, but the day India administered over 1 million vaccinations in one single day, you can call it coincidence or whatever, US opened up those sanctions that very day. What is that going to prove? And today, when India is on a very strategic location where China is located, the entire 3,488 kilometer stretch of the line of actual control between India and China. When China was misbehaving with us, did US come forward and speak to China? Not to misbehave, no.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So basically, this is a rhetoric, Colonel Sodhi, of convenience. This is a rhetoric of furthering your own agenda rather than of taking the side which is right.
Vineet, it is this war of Russia-Ukraine has proved that when the time becomes tough, no ally or alliances work. Today, Ukraine is isolated on its own. In spite of the Ukrainian president crying hoarse for help, not one country of NATO or USA is sending one single military boot on the Ukrainian soil. So finally, one has to fend for itself. One has to make one's country strong. And a fallout of this is, we can see is that every country today is more, worried about its own security. No allies or alliances are working. India is on its right path because India has realized that we have to be independent on our own, and that is why the vision of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes into place once again of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Today we have to be Atmanirbhar in everything, whether economic or defense, because if the time goes wrong, no one will come to help us, and we are situated in such a way where we have hostile neighbors on our eastern and our western borders. We have fought 3 wars with them. We know very well what their interests are. Given us slightest opportunity, they will not hesitate in doing something to us. So we have to be very sure of our own safety and security, and this can only happen once we are Atmanirbhar in everything. And this is the only, way forward. Vineet, I would also like to draw your attention in the 1971 war, when India and Pakistan were at war, the US Navy 7th Fleet entered the Bay of Bengal. And it was the Russian submarines which came to the Arabian Sea, and the US Navy 7th Fleet backed off. So we can never forget our history. We have to learn from history. We have seen that America does not honor any friendship or alliances till the time they don't have an interest in it. So we as a country have to take steps, which is being rightly taken also, that our own safety and security is dependent totally on us.
Colonel Sodhi, after World War I, a giant was created in Germany. Look what they did. That particular creation of the League of Nations led to the United Nations after World War II. Do you think this is historically also going to be considered a blunder on behalf of the West? It's a risk which they are taking.
Definitely, Vineet, we have seen the League of Nations failing. As a result, the World War II happened. We have seen the United Nations failing. I mean, we are having such a world large body of so many nations. 193 nations are part of the United Nations. 2 nations in the world are not part of the United Nations. That's how the total of 195 countries in the world comes. And we are seeing the United Nations has not been able to, carry out its mandate anywhere. The prime reason is because all the 5 permanent members of United Nations have a veto. I mean, this is no democracy where you have a veto. The day the veto powers are removed and there is a proper voting, yes, then United Nations can be effective. But till the time the veto power remains, United Nations has remained and will remain ineffective. And this Ukraine-Russia war has proved mere statements do not matter. What matters is action on ground. And since these 5 countries have the veto power, they call all the shots. And the United Nations has been, it has never taken off. On ground it has never taken off, except for sending few UN peacekeeping forces here and there in small countries. Well, that is okay. But now when the time has come and the world is on the, brink of such a big calamity, a big disaster, so many hundreds and lakhs have died and so much devastation and destruction has happened in Ukraine, United Nations is watching silently. So yes, I agree with you. I mean, this, thinking has totally failed.
All right. Colonel Sodhi, Mohammed Ali Shah, appreciate you joining us.